Spider-Man's homecoming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been a huge success for both Marvel Studios and Sony, but as amazing as Spidey's new solo movie is, there were still numerous scenes and ideas that were deleted and rejected from the final film. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and in this video I'll be explaining some fascinating scenes and concepts that never made the final cut of Homecoming, involving a whole range of characters such as Nick Fury, Vulture, Aunt May, Tony Stark and Captain America, and I'll be exploring the use of Peter Parker's spider sense in the movie. I'm also running a Spider-Man Homecoming giveaway at the moment for a couple of Funko Pops plus a pack of Homecoming merchandise. For a chance to win, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and leave me a comment with your thoughts about the deleted scenes or any future Marvel movies. And quick warning, there are spoilers ahead for Spider-Man Homecoming, so take care if you haven't seen the movie yet. In many ways, it seems totally logical that Homecoming would continue to develop Tony Stark's mentor-style relationship with Spider-Man from Civil War, but originally director Jon Watts had somebody quite different in mind to fill that role. Yes, as part of a visual presentation before he landed the job of director, Watts created images of former S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury as Peter Parker's mentor. When you think about it, it's hardly surprising that initially Watts thought of featuring Nick Fury in the movie, especially given the influence on the film of Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley's Ultimate Spider-Man comics, in which Nick Fury plays a prominent part and is even viewed as a sort of father figure by Peter. It would have been intriguing to see just which aspects of that comic book interaction between Fury and Spidey that Watts would have brought across to Homecoming. And it also would have been nice to see Samuel L. Jackson back as Fury, given that we've not seen him since 2015's Age of Ultron. Of course, Tony Stark's presence in the new Spideyverse provides the MCU with an easy explanation for how such a young guy has such an incredibly tricked out suit, as Kevin Feige himself has said. But ultimately, the reason for Iron Man's inclusion in Homecoming over Nick Fury seems to be that Tony Stark's presence in Peter Parker's world was one of the keys to the deal that Marvel brokered with Sony to bring Spider-Man into the MCU fold. After all, Iron Man equals big bucks at the box office. By the way, Tom Holland's next solo movie as Spidey will also feature another Marvel character, but according to The Hollywood Reporter, it's unlikely to be Iron Man next time. Maybe that means there'll be room for Nick Fury to step into the role of guiding Spidey through his early years as a superhero, as director Jon Watts originally envisaged. Or perhaps Captain America's role could be expanded beyond those PSA cameos, and actually that would be something Tom Holland would be totally down with, as in a recent interview with IMDb, when asked to choose another Avenger as a mentor for Spidey, Holland immediately picked Captain America, even though he thinks Cap would be stricter than Tony Stark. And in the meantime, it looks like instead of mentoring Peter Parker, Nick Fury could be appearing in Captain Marvel's first solo movie. The extent or nature of Fury's role in the Captain Marvel film hasn't been confirmed yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if he took on the part of a mentor for Carol Danvers in a similar way that Tony Stark did with Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming. I've got to say I did enjoy Tony Stark's role in the film, and for me it didn't feel overwhelming, which given the marketing for the movie I had thought it might do. Still, marketing for the film definitely did play up Iron Man's role in the movie, with several Iron Man and Tony Stark shots in the trailer which didn't make it into the final feature. For example, this shot of Spider-Man and Iron Man flying was wanted specifically by the movie's marketing team for use in the trailer. There was footage of the two together from the Staten Island ferry scene, but Jon Watts felt the background was too plain, so instead they decided to put them together with a shot of Queens in the background. And there's another scene with Tony Stark and Peter Parker which was cut down quite a bit from what we saw in the trailers. It takes place when Tony has his chat with Peter when they arrive back in Queens after the events of Civil War. Peter's excited that he's going to be a big part of the Avengers now, but Tony's downplaying it with a mix of his trademark dry humour and one-liners. I suspect what happened here is that they shot more lines and gags than were needed, and maybe Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland even improvised some.
So to become an Avenger, are there like trials or?
This does not mean you're an Avenger, in case you were wondering.
Oh, I can keep the suit?
Of course. Doesn't fit me.
All right, good luck out there.
Captain America Civil War introduced the MCU to a very different Aunt May than we've seen before on the big screen. Marisa Tomei's May is a much younger woman who Tony Stark can't resist flirting with. But 2 months later, during the main timeline of Spider-Man Homecoming, when she and Peter are at a Thai restaurant, May comes right out and says she's not a fan of Tony Stark. And Marisa Tomei revealed in an interview with Good Morning America that there's a deleted scene of her and Tony which I think sounds like it would clarify why she doesn't like him. Tomei says she filmed a scene where she was at a protest against Stark Industries, and at one point she and Tony eyeballed each other. Tomei didn't elaborate any further, so we don't know for sure what the protest was about, but I wonder if it was anything to do with the fallout from Civil War. Prior to Civil War, Captain America was a war hero, and there was probably still sympathy towards him in some sectors of the public. Tony Stark, on the other hand, is a billionaire former CEO, so there's no shortage of things he could have done to draw anger from the public, and it's possible some people blamed him for splitting up the Avengers. Then there are people like Michael Keaton's Toombs, who are angry at the rich and powerful who he sees as rigging the system in their favour at the expense of ordinary hard-working guys like himself. So I'm curious whether this deleted scene was going to expand even further on this theme which was already in the movie. And remember, in the film, Michelle says she wants to do some protesting in Washington before the academic decathlon. Well, we never got to see that either, so maybe that's the scene Tomei is referring to. I think it's a shame we didn't get to see May's protest scene, as it would have helped fill in a little bit of missing story for her character and why she doesn't seem to like Tony Stark. I did enjoy Tomei's portrayal of Aunt May, but I think there could have been a little more for her to do in Homecoming. In fact, Tomei has said that she and John Watts worked on a lot of details about May's character which didn't make it into the film. And there's a trace of another deleted scene with her in the trailers. You can see in this very short shot that May's walking into what could be a classroom or an office, with what appears to be a worried look on her face. And if you look carefully behind May, there's an actress we didn't see in the rest of the movie, and I think this could be Jonah Shao, who in August 2016 was reported by Variety as having been cast in Homecoming. Shao, who's known for work on the shows *Halt and Catch Fire* and *Being Mary Jane*, wasn't credited in the final film, and her agent has confirmed that her scene was cut from the movie. And according to an interview with Polygon, Marisa Tomei pushed for Shao to be cast as this character, who she says is part of a revelation that happens in the film at a very dramatic point. All of this indicates a potentially very interesting scene cut from the movie that hopefully we'll see on the Blu-ray release. We've already seen a couple of other main love interests on the big screen for Spider-Man, with Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi trilogy and Gwen Stacy in the Andrew Garfield movies. So Homecoming instead introduced a new crush for Peter Parker, Liz Allen. Although this film does build up their romantic connection, it seems like the filmmakers thwarted any real romance. First, we had that callback to Spider-Man's upside-down kiss with MJ in the first Tobey Maguire movie, when in this film, Spidey is hanging upside down opposite Liz after saving her from the plummeting elevator. Spidey's suit lady Karen even says to him, "This is your chance, Peter, kiss her," but the moment is taken away when the webbing holding Peter breaks. And actress Laura Harrier, who plays Liz Allen, said in an interview with comicbook.com that she filmed a lot of different kissing scenes, but none of them are in the movie now. And in fact, we did glimpse a kiss between them at the Homecoming dance in the trailers, but this was cut from the final movie. And given that Liz is going to move away, I'm guessing the filmmakers are closing down any future romance between the two in the sequel. So it'll be interesting to see if they take the route of hooking Peter up with MJ. I don't know about you, but I loved Captain America's PSAs, which Homecoming director John Watts got the idea for from a long-running US program to get kids fit called the President's Challenge. Of course, we got to see Cap speak to America's youth on subjects from keeping fit to getting detention, and we even saw the start of a "So, your body's going through changes" PSA. And there was also that cheeky little fourth wall breaking one in the post-credits about patience. But according to John Watts, he filmed a load more PSAs with Chris Evans as Cap that didn't make it into the final movie, including one about brushing your teeth. And there should be even more to come when the Blu-ray's released. Speaking of Cap, his shield got a shout out in the scene where Happy Hogan is arranging the move of Avengers tech to their new facility. The items Happy mentions in the final film are Cap's shield, Tony's Hulkbuster armor, and Thor's magic belt. But originally, director John Watts co-wrote a whole page of monologue for that scene, listing out a big range of items that Happy was sorting out the transport for. Now, Watts is a fellow Easter egg fan, so loved loading up his movie with as many as possible, but I think in this case he made the right decision to keep the moving day scene tight, mentioning just 3 items, even if that meant we lost a bunch more delicious Marvel Easter eggs. And going back to the trailers, there was yet another scene that didn't make it into the movie. The shot of Vulture swooping down through a hotel atrium was a scene that John Watts put together specifically for a teaser at Comic-Con. It was never meant to be in the movie and was only created because Watts didn't have enough material for the sizzle reel that Marvel needed for the annual San Diego event. The scene was filmed at the Marriott Hotel in Atlanta, and although none of that shot made it into the final film, a similar take of Vulture swooping down towards the camera was used for the villainous character's entrance in the movie, but this time with a completely different backdrop, his crew's workshop. In the comics and on screen, the intuitive spider sense that Peter Parker acquired after being bitten by a radioactive spider has been an essential part of his story. And I feel like we do see his spider sense on display at some points during his fight scene in Captain America Civil War, though at other points in that film he doesn't seem to have it, despite the fact that Peter specifically tells Tony Stark that the goggles on his homemade suit help him focus since his senses have been dialed up to 11. But in Homecoming, apart from a few moments like where Peter web grenades a baddie without looking at him, the filmmakers made a specific creative decision to dial back Peter's spider sense for his first MCU solo movie, their reason being that it's been seen so much already in Spidey's previous films. However, this doesn't mean that Peter's spider sense is being abandoned altogether in the MCU. Indeed, Kevin Feige has explained that their intention is to make his spider sense more internal to Peter and less dramatic than it's appeared in previous cinematic portrayals. All of which makes me think that the fact that Spidey sometimes appears to have his spider sense and other times doesn't may be to do with the fact that what we're seeing in these movies now is a fresh take on Spidey's early days as a superhero, and they want to show that he's still getting to grips with his powers and doesn't have full control of them. I do hope that we see Peter's spider sense progress in upcoming movies, as it's one of Spidey's greatest strengths and it's just one of the things I love about his character. By introducing Spider-Man in Civil War and not going back in time with a prequel solo movie, it meant that we didn't get Peter's origin story, though frankly, I don't know about you, but I really didn't need to see him get bitten by a spider for the third time, so I'm kinda glad they skipped showing that and gave it just a passing mention instead. And I also liked the filmmakers' new spin on Peter Parker's work at the Daily Bugle, which they updated by showing Peter's attachment to videoing everything on his smartphone. But no full origin story also meant there was no Uncle Ben to teach Peter that with great power comes great responsibility. It's a shame we didn't get that classic line, which I love, but there was just the slightest allusion to a recent tragedy when Peter says to Ned that he can't tell Aunt May about his secret web crawling activities. But really overall, I thought it was better that Uncle Ben wasn't dragged out yet again, as we've seen two recent iterations of him on the big screen, and at this point, a third Uncle Ben would have probably just felt repetitive. I would like to see Uncle Ben's backstory teased a little further in subtle ways in the next film. However, there are fan theories out there suggesting that Uncle Ben is actually still alive in the MCU and in a surprise twist could appear in a future movie. Now, what do you think about Spider-Man Homecoming's deleted scenes? And how do you think Homecoming and Tom Holland's Spider-Man compare with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment about the movie for a chance to win either a Spider-Man Funko Pop or some cool official merchandise. Make sure you turn on your notifications to get all my new videos where I'll be announcing the winners of the giveaway. If you enjoyed this, I really appreciate you hitting that thumbs up button and let me know what movie deleted scenes you'd like me to do in a future video. In the meantime, you can check out my full movie deleted scenes playlist here, or why not watch my epic Homecoming Easter eggs video. Congratulations to the second winner of my Wonder Woman giveaway. If you're the person on the screen right now, just send me a message so I can send you the prize. Thanks for watching and see you next time, yippee-ki-yay movie lovers!